Okay, so we've got a heavyweight undisputed fight again, right? Alexander Usyk against Daniel Dubois. Should be a good fight, you know. These guys have already fought before. We know what happened. Dubois quit. Some people say Dubois was robbed of a win. But for me, you know, shit happens in a fight. I mean, the shot was definitely below the belt, okay? Even if you want to say it was a legit body punch, it doesn't matter. You know, the ref called it as a low blow and gave Usyk time to recover. We don't know what would have happened if the ref started counting to 10. You know, we don't know. Usyk might have heard the count and got up and then won, you know, like he did. So what could have been for Dubois, it doesn't matter. You know, that whole thing just does not matter. The only thing that matters is how the fight ended, and that was Usyk breaking down Dubois and making him quit. You know, that's what happened. Now for this fight, I do think Dubois comes in with more confidence and more momentum, obviously. You know, I mean, he's coming off the back of 3 very good stoppage wins, okay? You know, beating Miller, stopping Jarrell Miller, the first to do that. Then he stopped Hrgovic, the first to beat Hrgovic and stop him. And then that performance against Joshua where he just destroyed Joshua. You know, it wasn't even a competitive fight going into that. A lot had Joshua as the favourite, and a big favourite, and Dubois just wiped the floor with him. So he's coming in with all the momentum, or with a lot of momentum. You know, not all the momentum, because obviously Usyk is undefeated. You know, he's coming in with supreme confidence. But Dubois now has a different level of confidence than he did when he first fought Usyk about 3 years ago, I believe it was. So I do think this is a better Dubois. I do think that confidence and just the skills and mentality that he's learned over the last couple of years will make him a better fighter, and a tougher challenge for Usyk. But I do think Usyk is just too good. You know, there is the possibility that Usyk is getting over the hill. You know, we know he is in his late 30s. I believe he's 38 or 39. You know, he's up there in age, that's true. But in saying that, he fights like a younger man. You know, he can still, his legs are still fully functional. You know, he hasn't slowed down. He doesn't look old. He looks like a younger man. He fights like a younger man. So, yeah, I don't think Usyk's age is going to be a factor in this fight. So how I see this fight going, right, is that the first few rounds will be very competitive. Obviously Dubois, with the newfound confidence, and the fact that he's a strong fighter, he is going to take the front foot in the first round. He's probably going to, you know, push Usyk back. But the thing about Usyk is he doesn't run. You know, he's not going to run. We saw even against Tyson Fury, a bigger guy than Dubois, maybe doesn't have the same strength as Dubois and aggression, but, you know, Usyk took the front foot against Fury in both fights. He's not this small heavyweight that is going to run. He's going to stand toe to toe, or at very least, he's only going to move back as far as he needs to, right? He's not going to let you bully him. So Dubois, even though he might take the front foot early, Usyk is going to challenge him, as he did in the first fight, and as he does in all his fights. Usyk does not run. So even though Dubois might take the front foot, Usyk is going to be counter-punching, looking for ways to get inside, and then he will start to turn the tables on Dubois, maybe round 3, round 4. And then it will become a bit of back and forth, I think. Sometimes Dubois loves to be on the front foot. He doesn't like to take a step back, so he's going to try to stay on the front foot. But Usyk, like I said, he's going to be counter-punching. He'll probably land something to make Dubois back up, and then the fight will be different. It will be back and forth in terms of who is controlling the center of the ring. As the fight goes on, I do think Dubois is going to be not a lot, but a bit harder to break down, because, as I said, he's got that confidence now. He's got that momentum. So I don't think he is going to quit as easily as he did in the first fight. But in saying that, I do think the fight will go that way again. I do think Usyk will get the stoppage. I just think he's going to work harder for it. I think that because Dubois is confident, he is going to put more pressure on Usyk, but in return Usyk is going to fire back more so than he did in the first fight. The first fight, it was sort of, I won't say it was easy for Usyk. It wasn't easy, but he just sort of took his time with it and breaking down Dubois. This time, I think, because Dubois will come with more aggression, more confidence, and be on the front foot more, I think that's going to lead to Usyk having to let his hands go more to stop Dubois from coming forward. And because of that, I think that Usyk is going to get the better of him, and put a beating on him, maybe around the same time as he did last fight. As in, I think he stopped him in round 9, the last fight. I think it'll be similar again. I think round 9, round 10, Usyk will put the pressure on. I mean, he'll start picking Dubois apart earlier, but I think he will definitely turn up the output later in the fight and get the stoppage around the same time. I think round 9, round 10, 11, I think Usyk stops Dubois again. That's the way I see it. The fight is still a while away. It sort of was just announced not long ago. So we'll see how the guys look closer to the fight and at the weigh-in, etc. But I do think the fight will end up going the same way. I think it'll be a better fight though. I think it'll be a more competitive fight than the first one. Rounds 1 to 6, 1 to 7. Back and forth. Hard to split them. And then Usyk, round 7, 8, 9, 10, will take over and get the stoppage again. That's the way I see it. Let me know what you think.